بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام عروة المرسلين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه المنتجبين صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Today, inshallah, will be the last part of the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam in the Holy Book, in the Quran. When I made this topic, I know that I'm going to be away in April, so I planned it to finish before I go and left one session as a buffer, but then we lost two sessions, so that's why this came slightly late, but that's all right. That's the usual disclaimer that I show with every section. Now, we covered all those topics about, this is all from, pretty much all from Quran, and we covered all those aspects of the story. This is just a quick run through. I'm not going to spend too much time. So we talked about Nuh alayhi salam as a person, what was he like, what was his attributes, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Nuh alayhi salam in the Quran. Then we saw how the Quran described the people of Nuh, who were the worst people probably any reformer can have. And the Quran covered all those bad qualities they had. And we say that what we take from this is we try and be as much as possible like Nuh, and as away as we can from looking like those people. And then we saw the tactics and the ways the people of Nuh used to oppose him and to sort of undermine his mission. And on the other hand, saw the techniques that Nuh alayhi salam used to call them to the right path. And again, the same thing, we try and remember these things and use it in our day-to-day life and avoid the tactics of the other party, which were just trying to hide the truth and cover the facts. Today, inshallah, we'll be covering the last two sections. One of them is very quick, which is how Nuh alayhi salam was, how did he build the ark, and what the Quran said about the ark itself. And then the main thing, which is basically the climax of all the story, which is the flood itself and the aftermath. And the Quran described in such in a fair detail and give you that feel. If you just leave your imagination, you can live the events of the flood as it was described in the Quran. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Let's see what the Quran. By the way, how much time do I have?
You have approximately 35 minutes left. So we did start a bit late though, so if you can.
No, I think so. Let's see what the Quran said about that ark, and there are quite a few fine points that will mention and draw your attention to as we go through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in more than one place said about the ark that it was a sign. وَلَقَدْ تَرَكْنَاهَا آيَةً فِيهَا الْمُدَّكِرُ. We left it as a sign. Who will take heed? So it was a sign. And in another ayah he said, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَأَصْحَابِ السَّفِينَةِ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا آيَةً وَجَعَلْنَاهَا آيَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. So he said, we rescued Nuh alayhi salam and the people with him, and we made that ark as a sign from Allah. So the ark is meant to be a sign. That's why building the ark needed special skills, special requirements, because it was not like any other ark. And it's interesting that no matter where on earth you live, in which century, in which generation, all of humanity know about the ark, some way, like one way or the other. So it was a sign actually, and these ayahs revealed 1400 years ago just says something that we can see that at least for 1400 years it is mentioned, it is still alive. They're still making movies about it, so it is that alive. This is a very important ayah. Say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to Nuh alayhi salam. He said, وَاصْنَعِ الْفُلْكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا وَوَحْيِنَا, and build the ark under our eyes and our directions. I'll leave this for a minute. We'll come to this in a bit later. But Nuh alayhi salam was guided when he was building the ark. So it was not his idea. It was not his creation. It was just part of his mission. He was ordered to call his people to the right path. He did. And then when the time comes, he was ordered to build the ark, and he did. So we'll leave this and we'll come back because this is a very important point in the story. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the ark. He said, وَحَمْلْنَاهُ عَلَى ذَاتِ أَلْوَاحٍ وَدُسُرٍ. He said, we carried him on pieces of wood and nails. Right? Any ark is just made of wood and nails. Which in a way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just drawing our attention. So, what does this ayah tell us? Like, what's the point? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the ark this way? Yes?
Like it's something in the boundaries of humanity, let's say. Like for example, like planks and nails, something that we're all familiar with.
Yes.
Here. So it kind of proves that Nuh alayhi salam, like you can, with Allah's will, you can survive even with only planks and nails.
That's good. Any other comments? What are, at that time, what are ships and arks made of? Wood and nail, right? But we'll see later on that this is the only ship that survived. And then we'll come and see what was different about this trucks of wood and nails, how it is different. Anyway, so we'll come to this ayah again, inshallah, a bit later. This is, again, a very interesting scene. ويصنع الفلك وكلما مر عليه ملأ من قومه سخروا منه قال إن تسخروا منا فإنا نسخر منكم كما تسخرون فسوف تعلمون من يأتيه عذاب يخزيه ويحل عليه عذاب مقيم. As Nuh alayhi salam started building the ark, his people were passing by because it took some time to build it. It's a huge ark and he was pretty much on his own. And it took a long time. So those people crossing by, seeing him building the ark, they were ridiculing him still. And they are trying to make fun of him. What I took from this ayah is that if you want to be silly, don't be stupid. They knew Nuh for 950 years. And they know that he's not stupid. He's not playing games. When you see him building an ark on a dry land, you should at least use your mind and give a chance that this land will be flooded shortly. But they didn't see this. They used to go by and they just laugh at him and just make fun of him. And he used to say him, okay, you're making fun of me now, I'll make fun of you later on. With a big difference though. And he, even then, he was still trying to put some sense into their mind. And then he said, if you trying to make fun of me now, I'll make fun of you later on, and you will know who will be subjected to an unceasing torment. So even then, and even when the verdict is passed, those people they're all going to be eradicated, basically. He was still doing what he can on the hope that maybe, but of course we know that this didn't happen. So yes, don't be silly, and if you want to be silly, don't be stupid. So those people did all this and paid a very heavy price for it. So this is just a quick run about this ark, what it was, how it was built, They say that it was made of 3 layers. The Mufassirin say that it was made of 3 layers, 1 layer or 1 level for human beings, another level for, like domestic animals, and the other one for the bad animals, like lions and things, so they don't eat them. But anyway, so it accommodated all those species. Otherwise, it would have been just us. Anyway. So now we come to the last part, which is the flood itself. And we'll come and see spend some time to see how the Quran described that flood and a bit of what happens afterwards. Before I go any further into the ayahs, I don't want to interrupt the scenes. So I'll just, because this word will be used in the, it's sort of the, here at the beginning of the flood. Do anybody knows what tanur is? I think our generation will know, but yes, I know.
Isn't it like an oven or something?
Yeah. It is I struggled to find one actually. They're all now using those, metal ones or electrical ones. So it's made of mud.
Is it what Indians call tandoori
Exactly.
when they have the
Exactly.
yeah?
Actually, I didn't. When I was fasting and was looking, it always comes with the bread and the tandoori chicken. And it was a struggle, but anyway. So it's made. It's just like a little, just exactly like this, and just like a spout coming off the earth. And it is usually used to bake bread or fish or chicken or whatever. There are something different which is more natural. This is the Leginox. People from New Zealand probably have seen it. Leginox, it's like a geyser. So it's basically just like something like this, like a little volcano, whatever it is. And that's the geyser when it's in action. So they pour some detergent in it and wait for 10-15 minutes and start shooting. If you go to New Zealand, don't miss it. It's worth the watch. Anyway, so this is the tanur, because it is mentioned in the first ayah talking about how the flood started. And the reason I didn't put it in its place, I just want to keep the scene flowing as it was told by Quran.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
حتى إذا جاء أمرنا وفار التنور قل نحمل فيها من كل زوجين 2 وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول ومن آمن وما آمن معه إلا قليل. This ayah is describing the first moments when the flood started. Of course, flooding the whole globe wouldn't happen in a blink. It takes time. So it started when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the order, and the first thing started is, it seems, if you read the tafsir books, it seems that those tanurs were there at the time. There are various stories, like explanation of what the tanur might be, but it is something like this, and from those tanurs, the water started flowing. So that was the first sign. In medicine, there are some bleedings that start with a little bleed and then a gush of blood, like a herald bleed. So this was the herald of the flooding. So when the order came, all those tanurs started to shoot water. And then, at the same moment, the order was given to Nuh alayhi salam to take all his, who believed in him, all his family except those who disbelieved in him, which were his wife and one of his sons. And we'll see another scene about that son, which is very, very sad and hard scene. So the order came, water started flowing from those spouts or nozzles, and Nuh alayhi salam got the order and started to load the ship with what he was supposed to take on that ship. And we've seen this ayah before. It said, and those who believed in him, and then there is a tone of sadness there, and said, and those who believed in him are only very few. Most of the tafsir books say that 70 or 80 only, apart from his children, only 70 or 80 out of a whole nation that believed in him after 9 centuries of calling them to the right path. Anyway, so they boarded the ship, and it seemed that after that moment, Noah was still trying to do something to his people, because those were his people, and that was his mission. He still got that passion to them. And then the order came to Noah, said, okay, don't وَلَا تُخَاطِبْنِي فِي الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا إِنَّهُمْ مُغْرَقُونَ, and do not plead to me on behalf of those wrongdoers. They are doomed. They are going to be drowned, all of them. So that probably was the last time that Noah ever tried to do dua to those people to come to the right path. وقال, of course this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, وقال اركبوا فيها بسم الله مجراها ومرساها إن ربي لغفور رحيم. Sorry, that's not saying. So the order came to the Tanur to start pouring water, and the order came to Noah to take his people. So Noah took the message and talked to his people and said, oh my people, embark in the ark in the name of Allah. Is its sailing and its anchorage. My Lord is ever forgiving, most merciful. So Noah took the order and talked to his people, okay, come on in, it's time. I'm not sure whether the younger generation and people living in Australia been into this situation before. I was in Iraq in two wars, and the third one in Yemen. And when wars again doesn't start all of a sudden, there are all those increase in tension, and when it starts, you have this sinking feeling that you're just going into something really bad. You don't know how it's going to end. So it is that feeling of, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. It's a very bad feeling. So those words were so comforting to them, because Nuh told them, okay, embark the ark. It's in the name of Allah. It's sailing and it's anchorage. So that was a very important message that he passed to them, to give them that peace, internal peace, to be able to tolerate this, because the scenes they would have seen are unimaginable, as the Quran will be describing in a minute. So they board the ship. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Nuh, فَإِذَا اسْتَوَيْتَ أَنْتَ وَمَنْ مَعَكَ عَلَى الْفُلْكِ فَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي نَجَّانَا مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Nuh alayhi salam, he said, once you board the ship, you and those who are with you say Alhamdulillah, praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he saved you from the wrongdoers. So just boarding the ship, nothing much has changed yet, but just boarding the ship, they were saved. All right? Now, Nuh and his people, like the believers, are on the ship, and now it started, now like the real thing started. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَفَتَحْنَا أَبْوَابَ السَّمَاءِ بِمَاءٍ مُنْهَمِرٍ وَفَجَّرْنَا الْأَرْضَ عُيُونًا فَالْتَقَى الْمَاءُ عَلَى أَمْرٍ قَدْ قُدِرَ وَحَمَلْنَاهُ عَلَى ذَاتِ أَلْوَاحٍ وَدُسُرٍ تَجْرِي بِأَعْيُنِنَا جَزَاءً لِمَنْ كَانَ كُفِرَ. The scene here is that Allah, have you seen a water dam opened? Sometimes they open it to release some water. Have you seen the torrent of water coming? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes something similar from the sky. As if there are doors in the sky, and it's open, and that huge, enormous volume of water just start pouring from the sky. And if that's not enough, water started like exploding, the earth was exploding in water, so much so, فالتقى الماء على أمر قد قدر, as if the water from the sky and the water from the earth met together, which means there's no space left. As if there's no space left. It was that horrible. So a huge, enormous amount start pouring from everywhere, and there's nothing but water. And then that's the same ayah that we saw earlier on. وَحَمَلْنَاهُ عَلَى ذَاتِ أَلْوَاحٍ وَدُسُرٍ. How would that ship survive? It's not different to any other ship, and actually it's big. We all know that the Titanic, the disaster of the Titanic partly was because of its huge size. And this ark was huge, and it is in probably one of the worst storms that humanity will ever see. How did it survive? The last ayah in this slide is telling us, تجري بأعيننا. This ship was moving by the care and supervision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the important ingredient. It was made of wood and nail, but it has this divine care, that supervision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that أعيننا, like it was. Have you seen a mother nursing her child? She doesn't take her eyes off the child. So they say it's something similar. So that ship, a lot was invested into that ship. It means a lot to humanity. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treated it in a very, very special way. And that's how it survived the flood. وهي تجري بهم في موج كالجبال. This ayah is describing the wave just like mountains. Because as we said that no one will ever see this scene again. So the amount of water and the way it's pouring and just creating waves, just like a tsunami, but probably multiplied by, I don't know, 1,000 times. It is as high as a mountain, and mountains usually are kilometers high. So these waves were really unimaginable. While this is happening, Nuh saw his son. Of course, he got 3 good sons with him, and that's the bad one. And he's still as stupid as the rest of the other people. So Nuh saw his son, and he called on him. The son was on like a piece of land that's still not covered by water. So he called him, and he said, "Ya bunayya irkab ma'ana wa la takun ma'al kafirin." You don't come and join us. Don't be with the disbelievers. And this last part of the call of Nuh is very important. Nuh alayhi salam didn't want him to be with them while he's still kafir. He wanted to leave the kufr as a concept before joining them, because he doesn't want him. If he wants him to be with them while he's still kafir, he would have took him from the beginning. And that's reminds us of Ibrahim alayhi salam when he prayed to have a son. He said, describe him min as-salihin. He wanted a good boy. He didn't want any boy. And the same here, Nuh. Though this is his son, but he didn't want him to join them while he's still on the kafirin side. But then listen to the response of the boy. He said, قال سآوي إلى جبل يعصمني من الماء. He said, I'll seek refuge in one of those high mountains, and it will save me from the water. And now you hear the father's response, full of sadness and bitterness. He said, لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله. Nobody can protect anyone from the order of Allah. This is the only refuge on earth at that moment. And then قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله إلا من رحم وحال بينهما الموج فكان من المغرقين. Once this is said, that the violent waves get in between them, and he's gone. That's the beauty of the way the Quran tells the story. It doesn't tell you all the fine details. So it doesn't describe how the sun was rolling in the water and bubbling in. So it's basically just waves came up in between, and that's it. ways is over. That's the very beginning of the flood. It sailed. Nobody knows exactly for how long. Some say 7 days, some say 7 weeks. It doesn't matter. But it needed to be long enough to do the job. So the flood needed to continue long enough to finish the job. So as they sort of on the ship, Nuh alayhi salam said, وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَنزِلْنِي مُنزَلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنزِلِينَ. We start praying to Allah to end all this safely and in the best way possible. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, said, فَأَنْجَيْنَاهُ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ فِي الْفُلْكِ وَأَغْرَقْنَا الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. So they were saved eventually, and everybody else drowned. وَنَصَرْنَاهُ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمَ سُوءٍ فَأَغْرَقْنَاهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. So this was like a help and victory to Noah against those people who always like, we remember how they describe in all sort of ways and call them liar and everything. And they were drowned because they were qawm su', they were bad people. That's why they were eradicated. Then now the mission is like the job is done. So the order of Allah came back and said, وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ وَيَا سَمَاء أَقْلِعِي وَغِيضَ الْمَاء وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ وَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِيِّ وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. So once the job is done, the order came to the same sources of water, but now to reverse the thing. So the order came to the earth to swallow the water, its water. You remember how some of the water came from the sky, some of the water came from the earth. So the order now to the earth to swallow its water, and to the sky to stop pouring water. And they say that the water left was made into oceans and rivers and so on. But anyway, so everything is over now. The supply of water stopped, and the water started to be drained. And that ship came and landed on something that Quran called a Judy. Judy is one of the tafsirs in the mountain. Some people say in Mosul. Some say just this is how a high piece of land is called. But anyway, so it came to a dry spot. Now it starts showing with all the water draining. We start to see the ground, and they just landed. And now the order came to Nuh, See, they were guided every step in the way, from the very beginning to the last step. قِيلَ يَا نُوحُ اهْبِطْ بِسَلَامٍ مِنَّا وَبَرَكَاتٍ عَلَيْكَ وَعَلَى أُمَمٍ مِّمَّنْ مَعَكَ. So the order came to Nuh, disembark with our peace and with the blessings upon you and upon those who are with you. So it's a new start. It's a new beginning. فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَمَنْ مَعَهُ فِي الْفُلْكِ وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ خَلَائِفَ. So this I said, so we saved him and those who were with him in the ark and made them successors. Khalifa mean, the Khalifa is not, in this context, not exactly the successor, but like the ruler or the representative. So those people basically became the ruler on earth, because for the simple reason that there was no one else. So those are the chosen ones. Now this talk is this story was told in our holy book to our Prophet. So this ayah was the talk from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
تلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيها إليك ما كنت تعلمها أنت ولا قومك من قبل هذا فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين. This ayah came to our Prophet at a difficult time in the da'wah, and so it was a consolation that eventually the people on the right path will win. And I found this last line, فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين, is a very, very important one. This is not history. This is an example from history. But we are living it every single day. We are seeing all those atrocities happening to people all around the globe. And we always wonder what's going on, why no miracles is happening. This ayah explains it. Patience is the key. فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين. Those who are on the right path, muttaqi is the God-fearing, which means on the path of Allah. Those are the eventually win, and those are the ones that will eventually rule. فاصبر إن العاقبة للمتقين. It's a very powerful statement. It's kept ringing in my mind, and hopefully it will keep ringing until I die. So that's the story of the Nuh alayhi salam, his mission, his suffering, his efforts, his ways, and his people. And of course we took this as an example of subjective understanding of Quran, picking a subject and you can see how interesting, how beneficial, how it gives you like depends on your level, give you a complete understanding of a topic. And it's certainly far much better way than the khatm that I'm doing, and probably everybody's doing this Ramadan. Read and check the page number and the hizb and the hizb. This is a totally different approach, and it's by far is the better approach to dealing with Quran. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Inshallah, in the future, if anybody is interested, we can make like a small, or maybe more than one small group, and try and tackle some topics, like Quranic topics in this way. I'm sure you'll find it very interesting and very, very useful. If anyone is interested, just let me know and we'll work something. All right, a quick quiz, which is not related to the previous topic. It is related to Ramadan and Siyam and so on. So I'm not sure whether I've shown this here before or not. I know that I showed it somewhere else, but what's the difference between dawn and sunrise, al-fajr and are these definitions important? Is it important to know what dawn mean and what sunrise mean? Yes? No?
Yes.
So how it's important? Yes.
So we can know when to break and when to start our fast.
Yeah. Our ibadat is time related. It's timed by, most of them by time. So dawn and sunrise are important times and has to do with qiyam and fajr prayer. So what's dawn and what's sunrise? Yes.
Is dawn when the sky begins to lighten and you can distinguish the light from the dark?
Yes.
And sunrise is when the orb of the sun crosses the horizon and becomes visible.
Okay. All agree? Or? I made a little animation, hopefully to...
Always helps. It's good.
So the top part is the sky, the light part at the bottom is the earth, and the horizon is the interface between the two. And the little globe down there is the sun. So as the sun moves closer to the horizon, we see light spreading across the horizon, but there's still some darkness at the top, right? So this is dawn. The three criteria is, first, the light is spreading across the horizon, there's still some darkness, and the sun is below the horizon, right? As the sun continues to move, now the light fills the sky, there's no darkness anymore, and the sun is above the horizon. Of course, there's the true dawn and the false dawn. These terms, I mean, probably we don't even need to care, because what we do, we just pull the calendar and see what time is the sun rising. But it's always good to know, because if you're in a city, in a big city, highly unlikely that you'll see it. But if you go on a trip, we might, where's we might do a trip just to watch dawn, the true dawn, the false dawn, and the sunrise. And actually the time between dawn and sunrise is a very precious time. It's about an hour, or maybe an hour and a half. It's one of the best times. It's not night, it's not day. That's what makes it special. And it's very full of barakah. This 1 hour and something, when I was in 6-year medical school, I used to use this time to read. It feels like 4 hours, 5 hours. It's very, very special. Okay, and one more question, so that these are the definition. The difference between the false dawn and the true dawn is that initially you got the light is just vertical band of light in the middle, but still dark on each side of the horizon, and then it starts spreading. But I mean, just know that there is these terms. That's why I didn't bother much about it. I have an animation about it, by the way. I saved you the trouble. All right, so this is a question about Siyam. Is there anyone here named Sami? Because originally it was Ali, but then I changed it because there's some Ali. So Sami was fasting the month of Ramadan, and it was winter, where the day is short and the fasting is easy, just like what we are doing now. We're the envy of the whole world now, because we're in the best shape. Short days, winter, no thirst. The day finished before you wish that it give you another hour to finish what you are doing, but it's a very short day. So the night is long. You can take 2 or maybe even 3 meals. So Sami was in a similar situation, and he thought that he'll make the situation a little bit more challenging. Instead of breaking his fast at sunset today, he'll just take it another day. So what? It's called, it should be okay. So I decided to fast pretty much 2 days, like a full 24 hours and the day after. So we've got this MCQ questions. So doing this, is it clear for the younger generation? Is it clear what Sami is intending to do? He's intending to do like something like, I don't know, 38 hours of fasting or something like that. So this will be mustahab, it's recommended, but most likely Sami will not withstand the thirst and hunger for that long. True? False?
False.
It's not mustahab? All right. B, by doing this, Sami will have double the thawab, double the reward. I mean, people in Iraq are fasting 18 hours in a temperature of 40 degrees. And that's almost double what we do and maybe triple the suffering. Is it fair that we get the same thawab as them? So if you do this, will you get more thawab?
No.
No? Okay. C, it is haram, forbidden, to not break your fast or fasting after Maghrib. Yeah, so has this got a name? fasting 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row. It has a name called Sawm al-Wisal, the continuous fasting. It's called Sawm al-Wisal, and it is haram. So why is it haram? Just a question to the young boys. And you're all young boys and girls. Do you have young girls there? Yeah. So why is it haram? I tell you, I can do it. I can do it, and I will not feel thirsty, and I will not feel hungry. I'm not joking. I can do it. So why is it haram?
Is it an act of ingratitude for Allah's mercy in allowing us to eat and drink and things like that?
Is there any stronger reason for it? Anyone? What about the orders of Allah? That's the rule.
It's disobeying
That's
what
the
you've
rule.
been told. Yeah.
The rule is that you break your fast at sunset. Full stop. You don't argue. Having said this, we should be reasonable. If some of our Sunni brothers, when the time comes, even if they're not sure that it is night, they will rush into breaking their fast because they're afraid that they delay their breaking their fast. If you're not sure about, it's okay to delay for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or I mean, once you are sure that okay, now it is sunset, or now it's Maghrib, I should say Maghrib, then that's it. You have to break your fast. But if you're not sure, it's okay to wait until you clarify the situation. Okay? Now, what is the minimum way of breaking your fast? Ali?
Intention. Like, with your intention, just saying, like, thinking that you broke your fast. Like, for example.
Of course, by the way, these questions from I made a few lectures last year before Ramadan or Siyam, and those were the only regular attendance classes. I shouldn't have let you answer. Did you hear what Ali said? He said intention. Break your fast by intention. What does that mean? Is
Like
he
you
right?
intend to eat, but then would that only be applicable if you actually had nothing to eat, so that you could intend to eat without being able to? Because if you actually had something to eat and you intended to eat it, then you would have eaten it.
What is part of fasting or any ibadah? Is intention.
Yes.
So you have to make the intention to fast and then fast. So intention is part of the siyam. So once you break your intention, even if you don't eat, you're breaking your fasting. Okay? This is very relevant to me. Sometimes I'm operating, I cannot just leave an open patient and so
Okay.
I just so it is time. I say okay, I'm not fasting. I'm not fasting anymore, without eating or drinking anything, because I can't. I'm scrubbed. That mask on my face, I cannot. So I just break my fast with intention. And there is another application for this. Maybe in the future we'll talk, and it can be a lifesaver, but we'll leave it for some other day. صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أحسنتم.